Hello and welcome back to New Wave Hockey. I'm your host, Link Dansevich, and today we're going to be taking a bit of a break from the 2025 NHL Draft class. Today we're going to be focusing on another draft class, as I am really grinding to bring you a top 100 for April. That's going to be a very daunting task. It will happen, and then I will be regularly doing my scouting reports again and my prospects of the week. A lot's going on over here. It's been very busy since I've been here. I am a full-time student, by the way. But today, let's get into not this year's draft class, but next year's draft class. I was just recently in Gothenburg, Sweden, where I saw Ivar Stenberg play for Frölunda, and he is quite a prospect. And it made me think, I've been ranking the 2025 draft a lot. Let's talk about the 2026 draft, and I want to give my opinions on the top 16 and give you some honorable mentions that are just outside of my list. It's a very intriguing draft. Some say it's a very deep draft, but again, we said this about this current draft class last year, so we'll have to see. But I really like what I'm seeing from this draft class so far, and I can't wait to talk about the prospects. Let's jump right in with the no-brainer, no doubt, first overall pick, Gavin McKenna. He is just unbelievable. He is so good. I don't think I've ever seen a player this dominant in their 16-year-old season. I haven't, because no player has been this dominant in their 16-year-old season since John Tavares, Sidney Crosby, Mario Lemieux. That's the type of domination that he is doing inside of juniors right now. He is easily up there with Crosby, McDavid, Bedard as one of the best prospects in this half century. He's been super good in a line of 3 years of exceptional status players. We have Michael Misa this year, we have Gavin McKenna next year, we have Landon DuPont the year after that. But McKenna, in my opinion, is far and away the best of these 3 prospects. The offensive resume already stands taller than pretty much every single CHL prospect in the last quarter century. The people whose level he's already at or above at this point: Bedard, McDavid, Crosby, Tavares, and Lemieux. He is just unbelievable. He truly defines exceptional. Looking at his traits, his skating is really awesome. His shooting, one of the best in his draft class. His stick handling is still really sick. His passing is great, but what really makes him stand apart from the crowd, what makes Gavin McKenna the prospect that he is, it's his mind. He is an IQ wizard. He's a brilliant player. He anticipates the game better than almost anyone I've ever seen come through the CHL. It is truly magnificent to watch. I think right away you can compare him to Sidney Crosby, and no one would really bat an eye. There's still more of a rawness and immaturity in his game that he needs to smooth out, but in these final few games that he's been playing, he has been so lights out, so dominant, that even if Caden Lindstrom was back in the fold for the Medicine Hat Tigers, Gavin McKenna would still be the far and away best player on that team. He is just so dominant. Get ready for the Gavin McKenna sweepstakes next year. It's not even going to be close. Number 2, in my opinion, there's a lot of players that can go here. There's a lot of really solid forwards that can go here. However, I'm going to be going with the defenseman. 6'4", 212 pounds, but so mobile, so quick. Keaton Verhoff of the Victoria Royals, 2 WHL players in a row. They deserve it. They're both fantastic players, but Verhoff, he has one of the most intriguing toolkits of any defenseman in the last 4 drafts. Yeah, I said it. More than Matthew Schaefer, more than anybody since, I think, Owen Power. He really is coming to this draft class with so much, and he doesn't even turn 17 until June 19th. He is one of the youngest players in the draft class. He is huge. He moves incredibly well, and his offensive instincts are incredible. 45 points, 21 goals in 63 games played. Those points are going to only increase. The Victoria Royals are going to be stacked, and the main reason why is because of Keaton Verhoff, who is honestly just as solid on defense as well. His skating is really solid. I think his passing game is one of the best, but what really makes me buy into his game the most is his transition game, his ability to score, and his subsequent defensive reliability. He is a very reliable defenseman. Even though he's a bit raw, he needs to be coached up a little bit, but he is the model of a new age defenseman that every single team is looking for. 6'4", huge, but mobile and offensively gifted. I really think some improvements in his physical play would make him an incredibly tight two-way defenseman that no one would even be able to go up against. It's incredible. He is so incredibly solid. At number 3, many people think I'm going to be going with another CHL forward, but that's not exactly where I'm going to be going. I'm going to be going over to Sweden, where a certain player from your gardens is tearing it up there. And not only the J20 National, but the Allsvenskan as well. I wouldn't say tearing up, but he was doing really well when he came up. Vijo Bjork. I'm going to learn how to say it soon. I guess everyone's going to be mad at me for that. He's really showing some of the best skill in this entire draft. He's just a sight to behold with the puck on his stick. Bjork is really primed to just one-up the successes that Djurgårdens have seen from their current draft eligibles this year in Anton Brunell and Victor Eklund. The size creates a little bit of an immediate concern. He's listed at 5'9". He's a brilliant skill player in the shade of Mitch Marner or Lucas Raymond. I love Vijo Bjork. He's just an absolute dynamo. He's just pure offense all the time. The skating is incredible. The shot, it's insane. You wouldn't expect it to be insane, but it is. The stick handling, just incredible. The passing, so tight. The IQ, I've run out of words for Vijo Bjork. He is number 3 on my list for now. The size creates a little bit of a concern, but he's one of the youngest players in this draft class. He was setting records in his D-1 season. I really think he is an incredible player. Don't sleep on Vijo Bjork. Number 4, I have Ryan Ruberek from the Niagara Ice Dogs. He is an incredible player. He is huge. This guy is ginormous, and he's a center, and he's one of the biggest and oldest players in his class. He is, I think, about 20 days from being in this current draft class in 2025, which he would go really high in. I mean, 87 points in 64 games played, 41 of those being goals, by the way. He is just defined big skill players. He is just so good. He is an otherworldly release. He's super creative. He's calm with the puck, and he's the force to implement his will physically. His skating might need a little bit of tweaking, but his shot is currently the best in this 2026 draft class. I could see that changing, but he is just so tight with the puck. He is just someone you don't want to see bearing down on the puck, and there's a reason why, despite him being one of the older players in this draft class, he is one of the best, and he's proved it day in and day out for the Niagara Ice Dogs. He's just been incredible. At number 5, I have Ivar Stenberg, the brother of Otto Stenberg. In 27 games played in the J20, he had 26 goals, 27 assists for 53 points. He was just tremendous, leading the way for an exciting Swedish class. Him and Vijo Bjork are just incredible. He has been too good for the J20 National. He's been tearing it to shreds, and he's now establishing himself in Frölunda's SHL team roster. He is now signed long-term, so the Boston University rumors are now put to rest. Really solid skating, great shot, incredible stick handling, but the mind, the IQ that he plays with, I saw it firsthand when I was in Frölunda. Even playing with men in the Swedish league, he was showing off that his off-puck IQ is just incredible. He really makes some great decisions. He needs to establish himself more in the SHL. He's only 17. Give him some time. The size concerns will follow him through this draft as they did with Bjork. He's only 5'11". He shines despite that frame. Moving on to number 6, someone who I'm not worried about the size with, Ethan Belchetz, 6'5", 225 pounds at 16 years old. He is the new era of NHL prospects, a ginormous wing who is just a tank on that Windsor Spitfires team. A high-level compete, pretty solid skating for a guy that big. He is a force on the ice. The stick handling, surprisingly really solid. The IQ, really great. But the compete at that size is truly dangerous. I'm terrified. Imagine yourself as an OHL player. You're like 5'10", 5'11", maybe 6 foot if you're lucky, and you have to play against Ethan Belchetz, and he skates like it's nothing, and he is going to bowl you over with the puck. He is a monster, and I'm just a huge fan of Belchetz. Can't wait to see him in the NHL. Moving on to number 7, I have Elton Hermansson from Orebro HK in the J20. He is really solid, a stick handling and skating wizard. Hermansson is a very highly advanced thinker with and without the puck. He's one of my favorite prospects because of just how freaking smart he is. His stick handling, his skating, his passing, it's all improved by how smart of a player he is. He is so smart. He is so tight. He is one of the best Swedish prospects in this draft class. If it weren't for Stenberg or Bjork taking the spotlight from this man, I feel like everyone would know Hermansson because he's really going to establish a name for himself. I think I'm going to be higher on Hermansson than a lot of other people next year. Just a little improvements in the shot, and he needs to bulk up, but he looks incredible. At number 8, I have Adam Novotny from HK Mountfield in the Czech League. He has been playing regular minutes in the Czech League, 41 games at 16. That's nothing to scoff at. Novotny plays a really rough and tough game. He is a really big individual. The only issue that I would say is that he didn't really establish himself scoring-wise or production-wise against men. He had 3 points in those 41 games played, but he is proving physically that he can play against stronger competition. I think everyone would love to see Novotny score a lot more, but he is really showing himself as one of the most matured players in this entire draft class. I love the compete. I love just how well-rounded his game is. I just need to see the scoring a little bit more. At number 9, I have Tynan Lawrence from the Muskegon Lumberjacks, a top 10 forward from the jump from the USHL. It cannot be overstated. Players who are strictly offensive prowess are getting undervalued every single draft cycle, so make sure that you do not underrate Tynan Lawrence. He scores in bunches. His skating might not be the greatest, but that shot is chef's kiss. It's so good. He is so incredible at scoring. As a 16-year-old in the offensive zone, he makes such creative plays, and he is the definitive scoring option on a team with some big prospect names like Ivan Ryabkin and Vlaslav Nestrasil. On Muskegon, he looks incredible. 48 points in 51 games played. He's a very smart player. He's a very creative player. He makes a lot of players miss. I really love Tynan Lawrence, and the best part about it, something that's going to get you guys all on board, he does not turn 17 until August. He's one of the youngest players in this entire draft class. Like, we're bordering on Matthew Schaefer levels of young. I love how much of a runway he has in front of him, and he's a very smart player. Look out for Tynan Lawrence. He could be a riser next year. At number 10, I have Simon Kataliki from Tappara in the Finnish Junior League, where he scored, wait for it, 52 points in 30 games played. Good lord. Oh my goodness. Simon Kataliki is big, 6'4", and he's a ton of skill. There is so much potential with him. A big, lanky frame, 6'4", but he can score. The ability to create with his edge work, and his hands only emphasizes how dangerous that height can be. The shot is really solid. The stick handling also very, very solid. There's a lot of hopeful speculation with Kataliki at this time. Again, we will have to determine whether or not he's a seaworthy prospect. I would love to see him up playing regular Liga games next year, because I think he can really dominate at that level. Of course, being big and tall as a forward doesn't always translate, but right now, 6'4", with the amount of points that he scores, you can't help but dream this kid looks like he's going to be something special, and I can't help myself. He's in my top 10. We'll see what he does from here on out, but Simon Kataliki, definitely someone you got to keep an eye on for next year. At number 11, we're going back to the WHL with Mathis Preston from the Spokane Chiefs. He possesses an unreal combination of pace and skill. He dictates how fast the play is when he is on the ice, and that says a lot for somebody who is on a team with Andrew Cristall, Berkeley Catton, and Shea Van Olm. They were incredible this year. The Spokane Chiefs are one of the hottest teams going into the WHL playoffs, and partially it's because of their first line. Secondarily, it's because of their 16-year-old wizard prospect, Mathis Preston. He's one of the most fun prospects to watch next year. Just the swift nature of his skating is just great to see. It gives him the ability to stand out on a stacked team. His skating, it cannot be overstated. It's so incredible. I would love to see improvements in the shot, some stick handling, a little bit better positioning and decision making overall, but the passing game is really solid. The compete is there. The skating is there. He's a little bit wild. He's a little bit raw, but Mathis Preston is an impressive prospect. He is a fast prospect. He's going to be a creative prospect. Just wait. His skill and speed will shine when he finally rounds out his game next year. At number 12, I have Maddox Dagenet from the Quebec Rampart in the QMJHL. When you're looking at prospects, the ability to play center, looking for a number one center, is something that every single general manager is looking for. And Dagenet, as the new Quebecois savior, could be that big center that everyone's been kind of looking for. He had a bit of a disappointing season, only 26 points in 43 games played after being the first overall pick in the QMJHL draft, but he is tall. He's at 6'2", and he's highly skilled when he turns it on. I will say his compete can be one of the most frustrating things on the ice, but when he turns it on, he can be one of the most passionate players on the ice. The shooting is really solid. His game, when he's going at full 100%, very solid. But again, you have to look out for it. The compete is not always there. That's one of the biggest criticisms I have of him. But I would be fooling myself if I didn't have a prospect the caliber of Dagenet this high. He's someone that I'm going to be looking out for next year. At number 13, I have Xavier Villeneuve from Blainville-Boisbriand in the QMJHL. Back-to-back Quebec players here playing with Justin Carbonneau. Villeneuve is just a ball of energy. He's short. He's 5'10", 150 pounds, and a defenseman. So what are we talking about here? His small stature is offset by his incredible skating, his sick hands, and his high skill offense. I enjoy that skill even more when he goes for retrievals and he's in transition. He is the driver of that Blainville-Boisbriand offense. Justin Carbonneau is the finisher, obviously. There's also Lars Steiner, Matteo Nobert, but Villeneuve is the engine. He's churning out transitions. He's churning out retrievals. He's a very smart, quick, deceptive player, and you'll love to see it. The only issue that I have is the size. At number 14, I have Alessandro Diorio from the Sarnia Sting. There was a lot of players that I could have picked from the Sarnia Sting in the 2026 draft class alone. Standing out, again, Beckham Edwards looks really nice. Ryan Brown looks really nice. But Diorio's high pace of play and great hands and honestly physical presence make him the best of those three prospects right now. He goes into another gear in the offensive zone, and that will result into a lot of points next year. Really, just watch him play. He just becomes a different animal. He is all about trying to score, but the skating needs a little bit of improvements. He needs to make better decisions, and I would love to see continued starts at center to give me more confidence that he can be drafted as one. I love the intensity at this stage of his development, but he still needs to iron out a lot of kinks in his game, but I feel really good about Diorio as a prospect. At number 15, I have Niklas Aram Olsen from Orebro in the SHL, the teammate of Elton Hermansson. Norway is back in the fold in producing top prospect talent with Aram Olsen. He plays a hard and physical game, great away from the puck, even better in the offensive zone. Just the skating, the stick handling, and some of the passing decisions aren't really there, but the shooting, he's a great player when he's set up by Elton Hermansson, and his compete and physicality are there. This might be just a trend with Norwegian prospects. We saw it with Michael Brunswick, Nygaard, Stian Solberg. He is physical, and he will establish that physicality wherever he goes. There are a lot more questions than answers with him, but he's been making great strides this year, and next season will be very pivotal in determining what his true potential is. I feel very confident that he will establish himself as a top 15 pick. At number 16, I have Ryan Lynn, our third defenseman. We will see. It's a very forward-heavy draft, so don't blame me. Rounding out this top 16, Ryan Lynn is a very quick-thinking, very solid distributor as a two-way defenseman for the Vancouver Giants in the WHL, another WHL player. He plays a very solid game that's going to be attractive to a lot of teams next draft cycle. He plays physical when it counts, and his IQ is a critical defining factor of his game. His shooting needs to improve, but I love the passing. I love the compete, and the IQ, really, it just sets him apart. I believe there are other levels that he has to reach physically. Overall defense needs to be a little bit better sometimes, but I feel confident that he is just a scrappy enough player where he's been making it happen. I'm very confident in Ryan Lynn as a prospect. We'll see how far he goes. But as for now, that is my top 16 for the 2026 NHL draft class. But I didn't just want to leave you guys with only 16 prospects. Let me give you 10 more honorable mentions of guys that I just thought I should give a re-shout out to just in case they climb into that top 16 for next year. Lars Steiner of Royal Noranda in the QMJHL, he's looked really solid. One of the best Swiss prospects we've seen in a long time. Mikey Burchild is an incredible scorer, but he's kind of limited size-wise, so we will see what he does next year. Oliver Muranext from the Latvian World Junior team, he is killing it at Sioux City in the USHL. We'll see how he does next year. Next up, I have Lincoln Keene. I don't just like him because we have the same first name. Actually, my name's actually just Link. It's not Lincoln. Very well-rounded defenseman. I really think if he makes the jump to college, he's going to turn a lot of heads. Similarly to how Logan Hensler has done that at Wisconsin this year. Another one is Benjamin Cossette-Oyot from Val d'Or in the QMJHL. Another really big defenseman who is making some waves. I like how physical he plays. Viktor Fyodorov from Nizhny Novgorod, who is going to probably be up and playing with Torpedo next year. It's a weaker Russian class, but I feel like Fyodorov is one of the best chances that Russia has to get a top prospect on this list. Next, I have Landon Hafley from Fairbanks, Alaska. This guy comes from a long way out, but he is one of the better players in the draft class. He makes a lot of incredible plays. I'm a big fan of what he can do on the ice. Liam Ruck, another player from that Medicine Hat Tigers team. He stands out from his brother, but he's really solid and just an offensive force. A lot of goals this year. Malte Gustafsson, 6'4" defenseman who makes you pay. watch out. The Swedes look really good this year, not just on the front end, but on the back end as well. And then rounding it off with a guy who had a lot of points for Saskatoon this year, Cooper Williams. Now, I'm a big fan of him as well. As for everything, that is all I have for you guys today. I just listed off 26 players in the 2026 draft class, so I hope you pay attention to at least some of them. At least Gavin McKenna, he's been incredible right now. But thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry for the length between uploads. I have been busy with a lot of things, school mainly, but also, again, I'm making a ginormous list for April, so be prepared for that. I have a lot to go with that, so thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys liking and subscribing and coming over from podcast with NHL Draft Pros. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please let me know who you would want to have as prospects of the week in the future, and let me know where you guys rank the 2026 draft class. That would be very interesting. As always, I'm your host, Dan Savage, signing off.